Hello there guys, and welcome back to the Q8 Pilot channel. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Thrustmaster's TCA Quadrant Boeing Edition. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the actual unit construction. We're going to be taking a look at the various components, the calibration of the device, and the setup for both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane, and we're also going to test it during gameplay. Let us now take a look at the actual unit. Before we do so, I'd like to say that I have always been a fan of Thrustmaster products. I do appreciate their engineering and craftsmanship. I've heard many comments about the quality of this unit, but personally, I feel that this is at par with their Airbus Quadrant, which is a very high quality unit considering the price. It is made of very high quality plastic all around. So all the components I think are made of high quality plastic, and you can appreciate the final finish, very polished product. You can see here the screws, nothing coming out. If you just run your finger through this, you can see the text is very clear on all parts of the unit. It comes with 5 switches here, a knob selector here with a select button. The throttle quadrants themselves, I think, are quite nicely done. There is sufficient tension in the quadrants to feel that immersion as you move them, but enough tension just to move them without moving the actual unit. This unit is very light. It is 1.3 pounds only. So I do have a lot of appreciation for the fact that Thrustmaster has thought about this. And as you move the reverse thrust here, now the reverse thrust isn't an axis, it is just a button that you click here, and once you hear the noise, it means that they are engaged. The speed brake here, I can move freely without really moving the unit. Even the selector, which is a bit hard to switch from one mode to the other, again, I can do so without the unit actually moving. The unit comes in different configurations. You can configure the throttles to be on this side and put the flap lever on this particular side here. There is an attachment point underneath the unit in case you purchase another unit to have a 4-engine configuration where you can then add the flap to the other part. Also, there is a switch here to configure the unit for engines 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, depending on the configuration. So if you can configure this one to engines 1 and 2, and if you have the other unit there, you'll switch this to 3 and 4, and that way you'll have the 4-engine configuration. You can see here that we have the auto thrust disconnect button here. Clicking this will toggle the auto throttle armed and disarmed. Overall, I am very satisfied with how the unit operates. It works exactly as advertised, and we're going to test it in gameplay in just a little bit. Let me now tell you how to calibrate this device successfully. Please note that if you do not calibrate the device, the movement of the throttle in the sim will be jerky. So what we need to do is first bring all the throttles back to the idle position here. Next, make sure that your USB cable is not connected to your PC. Then press the left button and connect your USB cable to your PC. Once it is connected, move all the levers all the way to the maximum position. Then press the right button, the right top button here, while you're still pressing the left button, and then release. And then the device will be calibrated and ready for use. Let us now test the operation of the unit in the sim. Let's give it some throttle here, and we'll bring it back. Engage reverse thrust. Pressing the auto throttle disconnect button here, as you can see, arm and disarm. And we're also going to use the selector. So on the heading track, as you can see, you can change the heading. Moving to the IS mode, you can change the speed, and we can also change the altitude. The unit works perfectly well and exactly as advertised. The TCA Quadrant Boeing Edition is fully configured to work with Microsoft Flight Simulator, both PC and Xbox. There isn't really any additional settings or configuration changes that you need to do unless you want to change the current mappings. Microsoft Flight Simulator will automatically detect the throttle quadrant and map all your buttons and your axis exactly as they should be. All right, let's go ahead and take off and examine the feel of the quadrant while we're flying. I'm going to release the parking brake, and we're going to give it full throttle. Now we can obviously arm the auto throttle. So let's arm the auto throttle. We can now change the heading. We can change the altitude, like so. And we can also change the speed. Let us now take a look at the TCA throttle quadrant and its operation in X-Plane 12. We are now in X-Plane 12, and I have loaded the Zibo Boeing 737. Let's bring up the camera here so we can take a look at the throttle quadrant and the operation in X-Plane 12. As I move the throttle, as you can see here, the movement is exactly as we should. Here's our speed brake. And the speed brake, the only thing that you need to do with the speed brake, you can see that the motion is actually reversed. So there are a few changes we need to do in the X-Plane configuration. So let's bring up the configuration here for our throttle quadrant. And one of the nice things in X-Plane is the fact that you can visually see what's happening. So as I move the throttle quadrants here, you can see the bar here indicating that the axes are properly configured. And by the way, you can run the calibration just to detect your axis the first time. The speed brake, you can see here, I've got it on reverse. So I'm going to remove this checkbox here. And now if we go back to the sim, and now we can see that the speed brake operation is correct. Now, if you move the speed brake just a little tiny bit, it will arm the speed brake. And then if you move it, then you actually will engage the speed brake. There, we can put it back. So again, you can see that everything works exactly as it should. And again, the selector I haven't yet configured. So in X-Plane, the configuration is not out of the box. You need to configure a few things. The most important thing for me is that the reverse thrust is already set for you, as you can see here. And this is, again, not an axis. This is actually a button. So we are actually mapping these two little switches on the throttle quadrant to reverse 1 and 2, hold thrust reverse at maximum for engine 1 and engine 2. Another thing that I have changed in X-Plane is the buttons number 4, which is auto throttle arm, and the button number 5, which is autopilot takeoff go around mode. Those are the two things that I have configured. So number 5 for me in X-Plane is toga, and number 4 is disconnect. If I come here back to X-Plane, and let me bring up the camera here once more, and if I activate the auto throttle, you'll see now that if I click on auto throttle, it will disengage the auto throttle. However, if I click on the other button on the other side here, then this is going to be toga power. Let me disconnect this here. Let me engage the auto throttle and click here. Now you'll see that this is going to set the thrust to toga thrust, and it's going to take the throttle to about 95.5. Overall, I am quite pleased with the Thrustmaster TCA Quadrant Boeing Edition. I think the unit is well constructed. It's made of high quality plastic. It works exactly as advertised, and without a doubt, it provides that immersive experience. Now, a couple of things that I would have preferred is that the reverse thrust If it was an axis rather than an actual button, I think that would have been better for my use, because that way you can engage thrust first, you engage the reversers, and then you engage the maximum reverse thrust. This way here, as you can see here, we've engaged the maximum reverse, but you do not have that option, as those two buttons, those two are actually buttons. They're switches, basically. There isn't any other thing that I can fault in this unit, considering its price and versus what it does. It is very immersive. I do like the feel of it. Maybe a little bit small for my liking, but overall it does provide a very immersive experience. Definitely a lot better than the other throttles used for flying Boeings or airliners, generally speaking. I think this for Boeing and the Airbus quadrant for Airbuses is really the way to go for flight simming. This is pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake, and we can give it full throttle here. There we go. And again, it works exactly as advertised. We can click on the toga button now. You can see here N1 is engaged.
80 knots.
And yeah, I'm going to be definitely, you will be seeing more of the TCA Quadrant Boeing Edition in my upcoming streams here on the channel, so stay tuned for more. I want to thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it useful and insightful. If you have any questions, as usual, please do post them in the comment section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.